Going for the triple decker today. I'm off to Columbus for a wedding. And I thought, when's the next chance I could do a little video? So, you're patient and you're generous if you're still here. The 1960s always had a special place in my heart. I love the Beatles. I love the Animals. You know, the House of the Rising Sun. And I love the Rolling Stones. And I love the idea of spiritual liberation. I love the idea of freedom. I love the idea of walking through a field in my bare feet, wearing a tie-dye tank top and a straw hat. Sounds awesome. Could do it every day. Playing with the bugs. With someone I love. You know, it's all love, peace and love and happiness. It all sounds lovely. I always loved the 1960s. Listen, the reason I started writing was because of Jim Morrison of The Doors. If you've seen the movie The Doors by Oliver Stone, you know what I'm talking about. Or maybe you listen to him too. That's even better. I love Jim Morrison's weirdness. I am the Lizard King. I can do anything, he said. His book on poetry was called something to the effect of The Creatures of the New World. And it was so weird and so cool. So I idolized these figures of the 60s, these young guys who didn't really care. They didn't follow authority. They stuck it to the man. And they believed something. They had a message to share, and they shared it. The other thing about the 60s is that it brought about a lot of freedom loving that probably went unchecked and probably opened the doors to a lot of people who just wanted to be lazy, hedonistic, and a rebel without a cause. And it tore down a lot of good things. The 50s were the golden days. What are they called? The golden decade. Or something like that. Tarantino talks about this with movies, how the 50s were all these awesome movies and everything was bumping after the war. People were having babies. People were putting gel in their hair and they were dancing around the ballroom. And the 60s came. And this party was still going and people were bopping and hopping and popping acid. And then by the end of the 60s, as Tarantino tells in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, everything came to a crashing halt. The Manson family committed atrocities. Hollywood was no longer safe. These young, doughy-eyed boys and girls graduated high school, dropped out of high school, wondering what the next stage is. They found a home in the ideas of the Manson family. This was the counterculture. But we saw what happened to the Manson family. He filled this spiritual vacuum that was created by a rebellion against Christianity, which was the dominant meta-narrative of the United States and still is, but at the time was more prominent. So you have these kids pushing back against their parents. I don't want to go to church. I don't want to go to school, Mom and Dad. That school sucks. And then Well, what are you going to spend your time on then, son, or little Sally? Well, I'm going to go out to California. I'm going to be a musician. I'm going to be a poet. Now I'm going to get wrapped up with the Manson family and kill a bunch of people. Of course, this is the extreme conclusion of this spiritual yearning. But it woke a lot of people up. Like, oh my God, what have we done? We threw the baby out with the bathwater. We wanted to get rid of dogmatism and rigid adherence to institutions and to tradition. But we got rid of everything. We got rid of the good stuff too. And now we have these impressionable young people who are clinging on to cults. Oh, that's not good. So everything changed after the 60s. This experiment ultimately failed. The sexual revolution had also happened. So the institution of marriage was challenged. It was okay to have multiple partners. It was okay to get a divorce. It didn't matter. We had the pill. We had contraceptives. We had medicine for STDs. Who cares? Let's have fun. We don't know what happens at the end of all this anyways. Just have some fun, right? Of course, that mentality hasn't disappeared today in 2025. But that's not the point. The point is, what did the 1960s exactly do to the course of the rest of the 1900s and into 2025? Well, it seems like the sexual revolution has stuck around, hasn't worn off. There's still this counterculture, I would say, still a fight against the institutions, against not institutions like schools and courthouses and libraries, but an institution like marriage and, well, religion. You might say marriage, religion, and nationalism, let's say. Nationalism created Nazi Germany. Nationalism caused the US to go over to Vietnam and stomp around against communism. Nationalism created white supremacy. Let's get rid of it. Canada is a post-nationalist state, Trudeau said. So does that mean it's bad to sing the national anthem? Does that mean it's bad to wave the flag of your nation? And to have a national identity at all? No, but these are the institutions that are still challenged today due to the same zeitgeist, these same sentiments of a time and culture of the 1960s. Get rid of it all. There's nothing good from tradition. It's all just a mess, just a bunch of wars and shit. But we have now and we have today, so why don't we just enjoy it? Why don't we go experiment with some drugs and maybe dance around? I mean, don't get me wrong, I love to dance and all, but I think we really undervalued the things that we tore down in the 60s. Like the nuclear family. Like the Judeo-Christian bedrock of the West. And it seems like the 1960s made big waves. I mean, there's no doubt there. I mean, I still am such a sentimental person. I have a soft spot for the 60s because I think it's still such a cool idea. But I am cynical towards its ripple effect. What do you think about the 1960s? Were they a net good or a net negative for society? Let me know what you think, and let me know what your favorite song is by the Beatles. Thanks for listening as always, and take care.